Hello and welcome back to another WhiskAYE extra podcast number 2. This time we're doing something a little bit special. We're revisiting whiskies which for the most part we have had before, barring one which we have the new version of basically. We've got two up first that we both, well, one or the other of us has given a bad score. We each picked 3. So one bad score, one good score, and one that we thought would be a bit interesting. So yeah, the second 2 will be the good scores, and the third 2 will, when we're most drunk and finding it difficult to discuss, will be the most interesting ones.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we find it more difficult to discuss when we.
I think we discuss. We find it more difficult to stay on topic with the discussion.
Yeah, discuss whiskey. Yeah, discuss everything in the world. No.
So.
This is going to be fun because again we're going to have to make up as tasting notes.
Yeah, we won't. Again, yes, we would. We don't have tasting notes. We just have. Oh, sorry for the noise there. My
finely tuned palates.
And yeah, we just have our palates and our memories of smells
and our poetic natures.
I was actually just reading an article that was saying that connoisseurs of spirits absolutely hate the term smooth because when they're picking stuff out for clients to try, say they're doing a guided tasting and someone goes, "Oh, that's smooth," that basically eradicates all the other tasting notes, and it's just to that person what they care about is whether or not it's easy drinking, and they don't. So
we call them smooth quite a lot.
I think, to be fair though, we go on to elaborate. We're just saying it's easy drinking because generally sometimes there can be a big alcohol kick or a big burn or a spiciness. When we say smooth, we just mean it doesn't punch you in the face with anything.
It handles itself.
Still be delicious. I think that's the issue is what they consider smooth to be the marketing technique, which means flavorless.
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Middle of the road, bland.
We could be marketers, but I'd rather just be a drinker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it could be both if you were Don Draper.
Yeah, or most marketers, I guess.
Yeah.
Like probably a lot of them drink.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what our first one is, or do you want me to?
Well, I mean, I can introduce it. I don't know how much I can add to that. I mean,
I think you picked it.
This was the one I picked, but yeah, I just I gave it a low score and you didn't, so I thought maybe I was wrong, so I should give it another go.
Yeah.
So sometimes a whiskey just doesn't tickle your fancy on the day. This is for everyone's reference. It's the FEW Spirits Single Malt,
which is an American single malt whiskey. It's about 46.5%.
Yeah, and I think we've had the bourbon for sure.
We've had the single malt as well.
Yeah, we've had this before, but I mean we've also had the bourbon, and I don't think we gave it. I mean we gave it. I didn't give that one a bad score, so I was thinking maybe I just was a bit off on it. They obviously know how to make whiskey.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know we prepared for this and I wrote down all the interesting stuff, but I'm just going to see if I dated when we tried it previous. So I tried to avoid doing this by having everything written down, but I did not succeed because I am not very good at my job. August 2018.
Okay, so it's been a while.
Part of the first Dram Team box that we had together.
Yeah, so there you go. That also adds some intrigue to it because I'd like to see how palates have developed and tastes have changed in that amount of time.
Indeed,
because that was a long time ago.
It's quite woody on the nose, like not in like a sweet bourbony way, just in a.
It is quite sweet though, but it's more of like a honey sweetness to it.
I'm struggling to get past that earthiness, I must admit. It's dominating quite a bit.
Yeah. It does have that, what is it that Chris from the Dram Team calls it? Mustiness a little bit.
Mustiness. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. It's
but
like
sort
a
of
desk drawer.
Yeah, but with sweet.
I'm going to
Now,
call it a sweet desk drawer. Can we do that?
yeah, yeah, I agree.
I even had a drink yet, and we're already on fire.
Yeah.
But go on then. I'll let you dive in for the first
I'll-
taste of our revisit, while I just quickly make some notes, and we'll see how it stacks up to the previous attempt. Getting anything interesting?
I was going to say it's smooth, but that was just me. This is There's almost like a chocolatiness in it. I think just because it's creamy.
Yeah, it's creamy. It's not earthy, as in like a musty taste of it, but I feel like that's controlling the sweetness, so it's kind of a little bit of earth, a little bit of sweetness, but not a lot of either, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's
I
a little
think
bit spicy.
It's got a lot of legs if you give it the swirl.
It's quite a long, like I can feel it down my back. It's quite a long finish as well. I'm getting a little bit.
The flavor hangs though. Like it is a long finish. There is some like minor like slightly cloviness to it.
Yeah, on the Josh scar of spiciness. I had to
From
make that.
flour to salt.
An Englishman's scale of acceptable spice.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we won't like sail around the world and take all the rest from everyone else, though.
Some of it makes nice colours.
Yeah, and some of it you can use in tea.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
I don't know.
like bergamot. I was thinking, is that a spice?
I think so. I'm pretty sure I had to buy some from M&S. So.
What do you have to buy some of that for?
Oh no, it was Baharat.
What the hell is that? Isn't that what James Bond plays?
Yeah. No, it's I think it's a sort of Middle Eastern, Moroccan sort of area spice. I think we were making some kind of couscous stew, chicken stew.
Oh, like a tagine kind of thing.
Yeah.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Tastes. So
as we said, yeah. So it's got some spice, maybe Baharat. I don't know. All
sweetness.
Spice. There you go.
Earthy sweetness, clove, spice.
Yeah.
Long, lingering finish.
I'm trying to think what the sweetness is. It reminds me of something, but I don't know what it is yet. If that makes sense.
You can't do the joke based on that anymore. It is a little bit chocolatey. Like after the initial bit, but just before the finish.
Yeah.
Like through the.
It's like
what they call a middle palate, is it?
Yeah, like an expensive milk chocolate.
Yeah.
You know, not like a high sugar content, but like not dark chocolate.
Yeah, so high cocoa milk chocolate. Look how specific we are.
That's what you have to do for this, by the way. Anyone who knows, you drink the whiskey until you think of something that it tastes like and you write it down. Doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. People will probably taste what you say it tastes like because that's
if you're the
how
first one.
Suggestion works.
Yeah, you just got to be the first one and be like, yeah, that tastes like a rainy Sunday afternoon. Like, oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just it's taste is just what memories it sparks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially something like whiskey, which like a cider or a beer or a lot of that, they actually put that stuff, or a gin, they put that stuff in.
Yeah.
Whiskey is like they're trying to make those flavors without using any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely whiskey and wine are the two where it's like a real thing, like where that is the flavor because that's how it was made.
Yeah,
but
so
it's never seen chocolate in its life, but
no, or copper gives it fruit flavors like apple flavors. Yeah. Not be new in apple.
Yeah. Whereas in like as you say with like a lot of the beers now, they literally just add fruit juice.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, this is very orangey. Well, yes, one of the ingredients is orange juice.
Yeah, it's a little bit cheating. It's quite nice, this.
Yeah. I think I was probably harsh on it with my previous score. I don't know what it was next to in the box, but
I'm not going back now. We've moved on. There was one in there though that would have probably ruined it for you. That I saw.
What was it?
Teeling.
Oh yeah, that maybe was the issue.
That
Was this like an around the world whiskies thing? And I was.
You just wanted me to go check, ain't you? Let me look.
No. It just sounds like it would have been worldwide whiskies or something.
I think so because there's an English, there's Cotswolds, Nicker, so Japanese, Irish, American, and then you've got Ardmore and Highland Laird, Longmorn. So you've got 2 Scotch at the end.
No, it's probably just being a bitter Scotsman that there was whiskey from elsewhere.
Yeah, these upstart Americans with recent whiskey production.
Not saying that I would have pushed it to a 4.5, but I think I was maybe harsh. So
okay,
are you ready for scores?
I am indeed. Let me just get to the right place and check that. Okay, what would you like to give it?
I'm gonna go and push it up to a 3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 3.
Yeah.
I'm thinking
based on
it. Well, okay. So as previous scores, you gave it a 2 and I gave it a 3.5.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking the way I'm approaching all of them now is if I think it's a good middle of the road one, it's a 3.
That's maybe accurate then. I could probably go with 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's get on the same page.
I think that it was good and I would happily have it, but I wouldn't buy a bottle of it.
Yeah.
If it's a 4, it's at the point where I'm thinking I could do getting a bottle of this. A 3.5 is like it's getting there. A 4.5.
It's good value. A 3.5 is if it's like in the sort of entry range price range, you buy a bottle. If it's 250 quid, you might buy it when you see it on a menu.
Yeah, So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just because I think that's what we've done for the last couple of boxes. So I'm trying to introduce some consistency to my
we really
scoring.
should. I mean, historically, we've been great at coming up with like me and you outside of this are good at making scales for things and scoring metrics. So I'm sure we can actually come up with a consistent one rather than just put your finger in the air on the first one and score the rest based off of it.
Yeah, we probably should. Okay. Do you want to move on to whiskey numero dos?
Yeah, that's you can introduce your nemesis.
I would like entered into the record, Millard, that I have chosen one that I know I will not like.
Yeah.
Because I am doing it for the fans.
Yeah.
Because this is Ailsa Bay sweet smoke. So I don't like sweet smoke in whiskies. So I am probably not going to like this.
You can almost manage the cured meats kind of smoke, right? But
I can manage the earthy kind of like bonfire smoke. It's the medicinal peat I can't manage, and this is exactly what this is.
Yeah. Well. Yes.
So here we go. I
was going to say, I think it might be that your score doesn't change particularly much on this. I think mine might change.
The surprising thing for me about Ailsa Bay is that it's a lowland.
Yeah, there's just. Where is it though? Do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
Because if you're hard west lowland, then your whiskey influence is probably just Islay.
Yeah, fair point. Where is? It's in Girvan. So it's what is that near Glasgow?
I think Girvan is in Glasgow, but maybe it is. I'm not certain.
Where is Ailsa Bay? On the Clyde coast, looking out towards Arran. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so it's Ayrshire. So
yeah. So it's pretty west. Pretty west. So as you say, inspired by Islay. Lucky us. Okay, I'm going to dive in for a taste while you ramble about something.
Yeah, well.
Do you want to do a nosing? Do you want to do a nosing?
I'll do a nosing, yeah. Oh, it's smoky.
That smells like peat, yeah. Sweet peat.
I would
Not
say...
too medicinal, though, I wouldn't say.
Floral.
Floral peat, yeah, like heather.
Mm-hmm. But that can often have a very medicinal flavour when you get that.
I'll let you know. Right, I'm going in. You meant
Good
to fill in the dead air.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's interesting that this one's moving very quickly, almost like you want to get over and done with, so we can move on to 4 non-peated whiskies.
That's actually not that peated, and it's not that bad.
I think, was this not quite early as well when we drank this?
I will check while you're going for your first
Okay,
taste. Yeah. It's a little bit of peat on the back end, but there's very little to begin with. Like, I've got it in my mouth now, and it tastes like cigarette ends, but it's not. So it was March 2019 that we had this one.
Yeah.
So still a while.
That would be round about when we started to ramp up our whiskey drinking, I would say. Because that was probably.
Yeah.
Well, is that not before our first trip?
You keep asking me these things.
You wouldn't know off the top of your head, I don't think. But
I might be able to see from this. No, I think March 2019 was our first trip, so it was around then.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So.
No, it's because it was after a second trip, because the second trip was Benramac, Glenmoray, and all them, wasn't it?
Yeah.
March 2019 was a second trip.
Okay, so it was. We've been through quite a lot of whiskey then, but.
Yeah, his first trip was.
It feels really depressing that our second trip was over 2 years ago now, and we haven't been able to do another one properly because the last 18 months have been decimated by a global pandemic.
Yeah, cheers, COVID.
But, yeah, I would say it has got some of those on the taste. Back to that, it does have that some of the more of that meatiness to it rather than the like tire fire.
It's definitely smoked meats, isn't it? But not cured meats because it's not sweet.
No.
It says sweet smoke. I don't.
Do you remember that smoked beer that we had at the Stramash?
Do we have a smoked beer at the Stramash?
Yeah.
So I've had smoked beer outside of Stramash and I hate it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this has elements. I can't
remember a lot of the Stramash, to be honest.
That's fair. I had the thing is that I bought the box of the beers, so I had it again.
I thought you bought the box of the barbecue sauce. Oh, did I buy the barbecue sauce?
You bought the sauce. I bought the 8 beers, 2 of each.
Oh yeah. And, yes, I remember. That guy was a laugh. He was alright.
This is a bit of a detour, but yeah, there was a stall that had. It was at the Whiskey Stramash, but it was a stall from a guy who was Keith Ailes, and we thought it was funny because like Keith. But we were just talking to him, and I feel like by that point we'd been to Strafila and we had sort of buried our beef, but it's still kind of the running joke. And we were just he was letting you try beers, and we were like, you know what, might be a good idea because that'll sober you up.
Didn't he have stuff on a stick?
And he had like marshmallows or something on a stick that you could put in the chocolate sauce. I thought it was. And then he had sausages for the
the barbecue sauce.
Yeah. And so we ate some of that, and then we went and found the one place where you could buy food, and it was a pie.
And I forgot how to eat pie.
Yeah. And that's when we should have known that we needed to slow down. But instead, we continued going and then went to the pub afterwards.
We didn't learn his lesson because I was pretty drunk there. You were pretty drunk there. I'd like to just make a note that although you can drink more than me.
Oh, there's a limit for everyone.
Yeah, it's never got to it has kind of got to the point once where you were looking after me, but you were still plenty drunk.
Yeah, well, when the time that I was looking after you, I was seconds away from becoming the person who needed looking after. So
yeah.
The looking after I did was got us into a taxi, then told them where to go.
Yeah, because both of us, when we got back, were just like going to bed.
It was like literally 3 PM. But yeah, what I'm saying is this: the smoked beer that from Keith Ailes or from the guy from Keith Ailes. Some of them weren't from Keith. It was. But yeah, smoked beer he had. This has some flavors that remind me of that.
This is all right. This is plenty drinkable. It's got a little bit of smoke. I don't think the smoke adds anything, but I don't think it takes much away neither, to be honest.
It's just at the end, really.
Yeah,
when it's in your mouth, it's not really.
I mean, you know, I'm getting like smoked meat flavors, but more meat than smoke.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that heathery medicinal tinge to it, but it's not.
Yeah, heavy in the background, I would say. It comes forward in the finish. You definitely get more of the peat in the finish. That's the lingering flavour.
Almost has some carameliness to it in the.
It is a bit at the initial bit. It is a bit sweet, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm trying to narrow it down, but I've not got a lot left. So, and you only get a very short smell of it before the peat comes in. Like,
I think this is comes in whiskey a lot. A lot of taste is smell, and peat is a very dominant smell.
Yeah. And you can't really stop yourself from smelling it inside your mouth. So
no,
your soft palate, I'm pretty sure.
It's like 60% of taste or whatever, and it's smell.
There's they basically get people in when they block their sense of smell. Like, that's why COVID, when you don't actually lose your sense of taste, you just lose your sense of smell. But because it's so much of your taste, everything tastes wrong. My brother's partner doesn't. They have like a anosmia, or my brother has a name for it, but I can't remember.
Nose blindness, is it?
Amnesia, he calls it. Yeah, forgotten how to smell. But yeah, it's they can only really taste like really, really intense flavors. So they usually, when we get a curry, will join me in a spicy one.
I'm all about the mild. Lemon and herb at Nando's for me. Even then, that gets my nose running. You can't help how spicy food you can handle. I'm not going to train myself.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is I sort of did, mostly through like Jackass style stunts of, I dare you to eat this chili as a child. Well, not a child, but
as an adolescent,
teenager.
Yeah. Whereas if someone dares me to do something, I'm generally just like, I'm going to do the opposite just to annoy you now. Do you want to give this one a score?
Given our previous discussion in this about scores, I would probably also give this a 3.
Yep, I was thinking. Again, I wouldn't seek out a bottle of it, but I could happily have 2 or 3 more of those.
Yeah, if you're in someone's house and they cracked that one out, you wouldn't be like, I'm actually not a big fan of peated whiskey, mate. So
no,
thanks for the one.
Yeah, but you're wasting it on me, kind of thing. Yeah. No, I could quite happily enjoy that. And I'm impressed because by something that's like labelled itself as smoke and sweet smoke, which is the worst kind of smoke in my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's because it's a lowland, so it's taking that lowland approach of soft and mild.
Yeah. I'd say it's closer to like a barbecued meat than a.
It's not a cured meat.
No, like, you know what I mean, to like a sweet barbecue sauce on a bit of meat that's been cooked, and then it's maybe a bit overdone. So
yeah, because I don't even like cured meats, to be honest. They're too sickly.
They're all right.
I mean, ham's cured meat, no matter what. But you know what I mean? Like when you get a cured ham.
A honey cured, yeah.
Yeah, it's just too much. Obviously, I like ham.
It's all right at like a Christmas dinner when it's surrounded by a million. But if it's just the ham on its own, I get it.
Yeah. It's like why you don't get the cheapest ham for you. Well, that and they don't treat the pigs well. And if I'm going to eat an animal that's been killed, I'd like to think it at least had a decent life.
Yeah. So
on that cheery note,
we should move on to what I'm gonna.
You've got to introduce this one.
Well, I'm gonna call this Whisky Talk, surely.
Oh yes, obviously. How could I have?
But the reason I say what I'm going to call Whisky Talk is because, unlike the usual kind of, here is an interesting aspect or a little lesson about whiskey, this is more like WhiskAYE Talk, because we're going to talk about what the future of the podcast.
So should we call it WhiskWe Talk?
WhiskAYE Talk. But yeah, basically, we have caught up with our backlog and are beginning to realize that maintaining a fortnightly podcast might become problematic and very expensive. So it's sort of a natural point as arose for us to try and make maybe a change up to our content model, because financially, finding another 6 whiskies every fortnight it's not unaffordable, but it is quite an undertaking. And yeah, just generally the resources, even to do special things, it's difficult, and we don't get paid for this yet, so we can't, unfortunately, have to go and make a living, and then can't spend all our time trying to come up with new ideas for how to keep a podcast, which is essentially 2 guys drinking whiskey and talking about it, running on a fortnightly basis. So we will be going back to monthly podcasts. However, for the YouTube audience, we are planning on releasing 3 videos in between each podcast, which will be split into 2 whiskies each. So you'll get the whiskey tasting content before the podcast comes out, as like week 1, whiskey 1 and 2, week 2, whiskey 3 and 4, week 4, whiskey 5 and 6, and week 3, whiskey 5 and 6, and then week 4, podcast uploaded with the segments. So the segments will be unique content, basically. Also, with this, figured it was time we grew up and tried to get serious and released on the proper podcasting platforms rather than just a video podcast on YouTube. So we'll be hopefully looking to get the next podcast on the audio for it, obviously, on Apple and Spotify, and then maybe one day Spotify can give us £10 million or whatever it was they gave Joe Rogan for the exclusivity.
How much did they give to Prince Harry?
What for? Has he got a podcast now?
I think Spotify sponsored him or bought his story or whatever.
Probably, I don't know. I mean, they paid Jackmate for his podcast, and 90% of that's just talking about YouTubers, so we've got a chance. It's also the number 2 entertainment podcast in the UK, so if you're out there,
yeah, but we'll be number 1.
We'll take some pointers on how to get that going. Maybe it's have a successful, online presence prior to your launching your podcast, but whatever. So there's other exciting news though, which is that starting from the next upload on the channel after this, we're going to have cameras, so you'll be able to see our beautiful mugs, poorly lit because we have no idea what we're doing, possibly out of sync. But we're going to film the podcast. We'll still be filming remotely because 1, it's coronavirus, and 2, as I said, we don't get paid, so I'm probably not going to be able to uproot my life, and you're not going to be able to uproot yours.
I wouldn't anyway. Don't like you that much.
I didn't think you'd like, living not in England that much either. I mean, you would. This the same issue here. So.
Pick the best Celtic nation.
Oh, that's a jibe. Oh. The one that legitimately has 1 distillery, and you're calling them the best.
For now, we've got another one coming up. I've got my eye on one.
Yeah, you're gonna buy it.
No, I've got my eye. There is another. I wanted to talk about with you offline. There is another Welsh one.
All right, we'll have a look. We can talk about it offline, I should say.
We'll circle back.
But yeah, basically that also adds into why we're another part of. It's sort of hand in hand with going monthly. That obviously, video will be more of an editing workload. Yeah, lucky you. I mean, at least you're usually on time. I've still managed to mess up the socials and be late.
I'm gonna have to use something other than Windows Movie Maker.
Yeah, that's the thing. You might have to get some editing software, but if anyone's worried that we won't be able to still do bonus content such as this, first of all, pretty sure there's 12 Dram Team boxes in a year, and there's 13 sets of 4 weeks, so might be able to squeeze some stuff in based off of that. And also, I'm pretty sure that if we think of a good idea, I mean, we have a good idea that's been on the bench for 6 months.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Me too. But yeah, that's another option. We can still add in little 1 weeks here and there if we have good ideas. So.
And as previously discussed, it is pretty disgusting that it's been 2 years since we've done any distilleries.
Oh yeah, this will also allow us the opportunity to maybe, have a vlog kind of trip.
Oh yeah, we could. Can you imagine the look you get walking around a distillery with a selfie stick?
Well, I wasn't thinking that. I was more thinking recaps at the end of the day, whilst we've still got it fresh in mind, rather than coming back to that podcast 2 weeks later and being like, "Remember where we went to that place?"
Don't bring that up.
Yeah.
But I'm just imagining you, at the end of a day of one of our trips up to Scotland.
Yeah.
And your eyes just completely unfocused.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that there'll be good content. I'm just saying we might be able to make content,
Because every time we've been up, to be fair, every time we've been up for distillery visits, we've never got that drunk because we've always been up pretty early the next day to get to the next distillery visit.
That's it. It's definitely borderline binge drinking and alcoholism, but you do it over the course of the day, so you're actually usually on decent,
And the trick is
you wouldn't drive, but
heavy food.
Yeah, usually
good food.
Find some good food.
Mm.
That keeps you going. But yeah, so that's the WhiskAYE talk for the week.
Exciting.
For the special podcast.
Exciting. Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see what maybe changing up the model can do. See if we can maybe get some more viewers in. Stop scaring people away with our videos either being 2 minutes long or an hour and a half. But,
we're scaring away with his faces instead.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
They might come and point and laugh at the,
We could morph it into a PSA kind of. This is what happens when you drink whiskey. Look what you become.
Sure, the industry will definitely love us and give us lots of free stuff off the back of that.
We just shift into extortion and be like, if you want us to stop.
Yeah. Every week we don't receive free whiskey, the video will be uploaded.
Yeah, whenever I'm sober, I'm recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you want to move on to?
I'm happy to move on to.
I think you've got to introduce this one just for its name alone.
Oh, it's Wolfburn, which is, if the derivation of Wolfburn is the same as the derivation of Milfburn, then it's a wolf that lives by a small stream.
So it's not a wolf
as
on fire.
You thought, someone who commits arson on wolves. And the whiskey is called Langskip. And I believe that this has some very good scores previously from us.
Do you want me to detail what the previous scores were from us, or do you want me to save that?
I think you should, since this is in the good pile, you can go ahead and let everyone know.
Okay, so the last time we tasted this one, and I'm going to find a date now because you introduced that as a thing. Thanks a lot. It was February 2020, so not too long ago. Christ, like 60 months ago or whatever. We gave it 2 4.5s.
Yeah, we both thought that this was definitely worthy of a bottle purchase, I think.
Yes, and I mean, I haven't since, but definitely worthy of it. It's got a lot of vanilla, like toasty vanilla notes on the nose.
Yeah.
Really inviting, isn't it? That kind of smell. Say it's 58%. You get the
yeah. It's
alcohol,
one of those ones where you definitely have to take a passing sniff at.
Yeah, but I don't think it's too in your face.
No.
Who wants to go in first on this one? I suppose it's your turn.
I was just trying to get some.
If you take a sniff at it from a distance away, that's very sweet.
Yeah, it has some sort of orchard fruits to it as well.
I'm just thinking like custard, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it smells maybe. It's the baked goods away from being an apple pie and custard.
Yeah, it's not got that depth.
Yeah.
Go on then. dive in for a taste. Tell us if it's a 4.5 on your first sip. Just immediately just be like, no. Just imagine that you go into a distillery and
That was strong.
Yeah, I got that impression. Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. It is tasty.
I'm going in then.
Which is also probably something that they don't want you to say when you get a whiskey and they say, "Oh, so what do you think of that one?" Oh, it's tasty. Tastes like whiskey, that does.
That is very strong.
Yeah, the problem was I held it on my tongue and then tried to swallow down from there, and I didn't anticipate it properly, so I forced it.
I mean, it's strong and it's warming because of the alcohol, but it's not a burning. You know what it is? It's smooth. It's like caramel and vanilla. When you
get it down right, it is.
There's a bit of woodiness in there as well.
There's some woodiness. The alcohol does make it quite drying.
Yeah, but it's not got a particularly lingering finish, I wouldn't say.
No, it's quite quick. I'm going to try it with a little drop of water.
Good plan. Obviously, it got legs, but it's like 60%, so 58%. So
yeah,
I think it's straight up 58%. Just for reference, the last one was 48.9.
This is one of those where the water seems to have killed the nose a little bit.
Yeah, it's always a risk, I suppose, isn't it?
Right, we've had one where the flavour came out a lot more, so I'm going to go in.
It's just warming and vanilla and oak. Just classic kind of bourbon flavours, but just really well done.
Yeah, it's a lot sweeter when you add the water in. So it takes the burn off the alcohol and then it allows that to come through.
Water allows sweetness to develop. Short finish. I wonder why I type so much when I'm typing up these notes. It's because as I get progressively drunker, typing gets progressively harder.
I think it's probably got some appley edge to it as well, I would say.
Were you? And what do you do with my co-host? He doesn't say apples. Yeah. He's some kind of replicant.
Yeah, but it definitely wasn't pears. That's the problem. That's why I said some kind of appley. Rather than... wasn't going to be specific.
Eh? Spell apple wrong.
That's good.
2 L's and 1 P.
That's like when you go to the market and get a laptop.
Yeah, it's very cheap. This one. Oh yeah, yeah.
APL. Yeah.
It's JMac.
One better. We had. Remember the eMac? Well, then there was the iMac. That's a few better. This is the JMac, even better.
Steve Cobbs, known as Corn to his mates.
Yeah.
Didn't even make any sense, but I liked it, so I'm sticking with it.
Yeah. So, are you ready to score?
This one's hitting me quite hard. Give me a second. One last sip.
Oh, I added the water, which then meant that I was trying to get the flavour and drank it maybe a bit too quickly. But yeah.
Maybe. Yes, I'm happy to give this one a score. What would you like to?
I would go down 1 to a 4, down a half to a 4, I think, from our previous score.
I agree completely.
Yeah.
I think we've had some better whiskies since, but that's still very, very good.
I think it might have it's possible that this was in one of the stronger boxes, I think, and we might have been getting a bit exuberant. But
Maybe.
I'm not saying it's bad.
I mean, this is one of the stronger boxes if we go through it.
Yeah. Getting to well, now it is. The first two we both had although we both brought them up to better scores, so shows you.
Ours being stronger in like alcohol.
Oh right, yeah, it's actually quite strong.
It is quite a heavy box, this one. Do you want me to introduce us to whiskey number 4?
Yep.
So this is, so I picked, just to be clear, I picked the Wolfburn, and you picked this next one, but you picked, in my opinion, very well, because you picked one of my favourite distilleries, Glen Scotia, and this is the 18-year-old.
This is the most expensive one. This would be the 6 dram in a Dram Team box, but we're doing bad good.
Yes, so as you're all probably aware, this is a Campbelltown, and one of my favourite whiskies is the Glen Scotia Double Cask, which is like 25 quid a bottle, but supremely tasty, in my opinion. And just for reference, the Wolfburn is a Highland.
Yeah.
So we've had American, Lowland, Highland, and now we're going to Campbelltown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 18-year-old. This is the oldest one in the box. Like I say, it would probably be a 6 dram.
It smells delicious. It literally smells like caramel and Christmas cake.
Yeah, that's yeah. That caramelized sugar, baked goods, just spot on in it.
Also, it could even be sticky toffee pudding. This.
Yeah, I think that's a fair shout. Actually, it's not like an overly sweet smell. It's got that kind of grounding to it that a good sticky toffee pudding has. Because a good sticky toffee pudding's got a bit of like umami to it. It's not just sweet.
Yeah, well, the dates, and it's usually a little bit burnt because it's baked, and then they chuck the sticky toffee on the top and bake it again.
Yeah. Sticky toffee pudding on the nose. Okay, fill the dead air while I enjoy this.
I was just thinking that we're going to be on the only Scotch region that we're going to miss is Islay. But we've got Ailsa Bay, which is a lowland, but it's obviously adding the peat in to.
I tried, but we couldn't get a Cowlila, the one that I
we did have a
initially.
Cowlila down that Ailsa. So we initially did have a Cowlila, but we've got the Ailsa Bay in to replace it because they sold out on Master of Malt, who we had to go to get these.
Yeah, we're not quite important enough to
just ask distilleries to send us samples.
Yeah, it's just lovely. It's just really nice. It's exactly what you'd expect. It's got that little bit of saltiness that you get from Glen Scotia from it being on the coast. It's got that kind of not bourbon, but yeah, bourbony, vanilla-y, caramelly sweetness. It's just lovely.
It's very, very, very balanced.
Yes.
It's got the creaminess as well in it, like the.
Oh yeah, it's like a thicker liquid. This one.
Yeah. Long legs.
Yeah, it's just really nice. No burn. It is 46%, so it's 12% less than the previous one, but yeah, it's still 46%. You could still have a burn on a 46%.
Yeah, it feels like you could chew it.
I like that. Yeah. Feels like you could chew it. I think that's a great comment. So vanilla, caramel. Yeah, we're big sherry whiskey fans, and they're the same. Yeah. You don't want a thin whiskey, unless it's a light whiskey, then it can be thin. But you don't want a thin, heavy whiskey, because then it's gonna burn, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. You need It's almost, I don't know what it is. Like, it's the oiliness sort of manages to hold the vapors in line and stop it from burning your throat. And that it's just cakey. Is the only way I could describe this. It has you mentioned the flavors, the kind of vanilla, a little bit of caramel, the saltiness, and all that. A little bit cakey, but it actually is like heavy.
It's like comparing like orange juice to chocolate milk. like you want the chocolate milk. I mean, I've got no. I feel like I'm going to get down in a rabbit hole here, but I mean, in a whiskey,
Yeah, you
I
want it
want
to be
I
heavy,
want the chocolate milk. Yeah.
like a yop.
Yeah. Not like a Yazoo. They used to be really good, but not so
Nope.
much now.
I don't know. Yeah,
I used to get them right when I used to go around to my grandma's. She used to give them.
used to come with the tinfoil top and the spike to stick through.
We used to get them and what are the crisps where they come with a salt packet you pour in yourself?
Smith Salt and Shake.
I think they're like Seacom or Sea something.
Oh, Seabrooks.
Seabrooks.
Yeah.
That's the badger. Yeah, we used to have them. She used to give us those and Yazoos.
My
It's
dad
weird what things
preferred
remind
them
you of.
because then he felt like it was okay to add vinegar, so he could make salt and vinegar, which it just makes the chips soggy. But he would always do it the ready salted crisps, and I was like, it's
I've
just
never
soggy. It's
anyone
soggy.
who adds vinegar to crisps.
Yeah, well, my dad doesn't like ready salted, but he likes salt and vinegar. So
Fair.
with the salted shake, he was like, "Oh, you're putting the salt in yourself."
It's an invitation to do what you want. I'm gonna have to meet your old man one day.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Well,
and you'll fight it out over what parts of Yorkshire are actually Yorkshire.
Yeah, he's from West Yorkshire, ain't he?
Yeah.
Or by Leeds.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's weird what things remind you of, though, isn't it?
Yeah. It's good though.
Seabrook crisps.
Also, there's a saltiness to this, so that's a fair comment. To bring it back around.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just prevailing a bit of nostalgia there.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't hate them. But yeah, I would just get.
Oh, don't get me wrong. They're worse than ready salted crisps.
Yeah. Because the salt doesn't stick right.
No, you just get the salt all on the bottom.
Yeah.
But that's just what my grandma used to give me.
Yeah. Probably technically healthier, which is nice of her.
And like tuna and sweet corn sandwiches, but it was like the tuna and sweet corn was in a jar.
Oh, already mixed?
Yeah.
Oh, like the sandwich toppers, like Prince's tuna sweet corn sandwich toppers or something.
Yeah, because my grandma hated cooking. So she'd just have like stuff ready to go, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's quality.
Still,
I don't understand
like 10
hating
of them.
cooking, but I suppose it's like, you know.
She was still a grandma in that, like, she gave me like 6 of them.
Yeah.
And if I'd ever said, you know, I like certain things, suddenly there was 25 of them around the house.
Yeah.
But I'm getting wistful.
And 4 whiskies will do that to you.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, you've got to tell us about a distillery in a minute, so.
I do. Back on track. Would you like to give these a score?
Sure. I would feel happy giving that 4.5.
Yeah, I think that's only fair.
It holds its 18 years well. It definitely wasn't aged just for the sake of it, that one.
No.
Imagine how hard it must be to have any level of consistency with an 18-year-old. I can get it if you're, Glenfiddich, a massive. But I don't feel like Campbelltown ones are that big.
Glen Scotia's not huge, but even for Glenfiddich, you know, there's a lot of intelligence behind it, isn't there?
Yeah, there's got to be some risk that one year you just like start cracking open the 18-year-olds and like, these are all terrible. We're never going to be able to do it.
Absolutely, because I know like Abuna, because I obviously follow Abuna quite closely because I love it.
Yeah.
That has like, because that's released in batches rather than years, and that if you look at Master of Malt, they sell it by the batch.
Yeah.
And its scar can vary pretty intensely.
Yeah.
And they've not done anything different.
No, it's just because it's a cask strength. So like.
Yeah, the climate that you were aged in. You know, maybe one year you had like a super hot year.
Yeah.
And that's changed how your whiskey did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an. I mean, that's the beauty of whiskey,
previous,
innit?
yeah,
It's 90% magic.
yeah. See
But
previous
it's.
whiskey talks, obviously, for all this stuff. But,
I'm saying it's magic in a good way.
yeah.
Because we're not using the magic, but we're like a warrior with an enchanted sword.
Yeah, we're not out here, you know.
We're not shouting stupid things at people in a dressing gown.
To use a phrase from many of our gaming times, we're not out here picking up mage shit. But
yeah, we're not picking up like an SMG.
It's always good to it's always good to drink a potion every now and then.
Yeah, I'm willing to like let a mage like enchant my sword or my gun or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not about to start shouting things at like some guy who's trying to kill me.
Or carrying a book as a weapon.
No. Or an SMG again.
Uh-huh.
Or a sniper rifle.
A sniper rifle. Especially in a game which is entirely mid-range.
Yeah, I'm shaking my fist.
Yeah. Well, I ought to.
Damn mages. So, yes. Would you like to go on a journey?
Yes.
A Josh's journey, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay, just let me write down the time I started it, and then we shall go.
Okay.
So, what will appear completely at random, but will later become clear, we're off to Macallan, or the Macallan, as they prefer to be known. So if you know anything about whiskey, you've heard of Macallan. They're probably one of the biggest names in Scotch, second maybe to Glenfiddich and Glenlivet. They'd probably dispute that fact, but I think Glenfiddich is probably the biggest name. But Macallan is 100% up there with the big boys.
Macallan has a wee booster, though, doesn't it?
Sorry?
It's James Bond's favourite whisky.
Oh, he's ruined my... Don't listen to that. Don't listen to that. So Macallan is a Speyside distillery. It's just outside of Aberlour, as we know. It is walkable from Aberlour.
Nice walk.
Yeah, it's a lovely walk.
A little bit of wooded, a little bit of country lanes.
Yeah, very nice. It's founded in 1824 as one of the first legally licensed distilleries. It was originally named, and I'm going to butcher it because it's Gaelic, but Maghellen, Mahalan, however you say it, by its founder Alexander Reed from Magh, meaning fertile ground, and Ellen, which is from the monk of St. Fillan, who was associated with a church that stood on the Macallan estate until 1400. So I kind of thought I'd tie this back a little bit to a couple of previous whiskey talks, and Macallan, out of all of the distilleries we've covered on a Josh's journey, Macallan's focus on the wood is borderline obsessive. They estimate up to 80% of their character comes from the casks, and they put a lot of time and effort into it. They have a master of wood who hand selects every cask they use, and it gets to the point that they are involved with the cask production right from the tree. So they work with the Spanish cask companies to select certain trees to fell, saw, air dry. They then transport them further north in Spain, air dry them further, season them for 18 months, and only then, after assessing them, are they used to age the new make. So they get, I've never seen any distillery that goes from the tree.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
And I think it helps, the fact that Macallan is so huge that they don't have to pick certain casks based on budget. It's all about what they want to use. Macallan was famous.
Have some expensive whiskies so they can get the money back.
God, you're just stealing all my talking points of this.
Sorry.
Macallan was famous for only using sherry casks, but that changed in 2004 when they started using select bourbon casks also. So they used to call it, I think, the Fine Oak range, and now they call it the Triple Cask. But that uses bourbon casks, but again, very selective. And one of the big things of Macallan recently is they opened in 2019 their new distillery. It cost about £140 million, and it is pretty sodding impressive. Take it from people who've been there. Yes. It's built into a hillside. It literally built into the hill. The roof is the hill. It's amazing. It was shortlisted for a Sterling Prize for Excellence in Architecture. It's that impressive. So they had their old distillery house, and then they moved it all over to there. It's pretty massive, as it has to be, because it holds 36 stills, 12 wash, 24 spirit. But the reason they've got so many stills is not just because they produce so much whiskey, which they do, but it's also because they have what they term curiously small stills. And this is part of their whole quality over quantity. So they produce a lot of whiskey, but I would say that Macallan is not so much known for its quantity as it is known for its quality. And they maintain this quality using what they call their 6 pillars. So the first of this is their spiritual home. They were one of the first licensed distilleries, as I mentioned earlier. So they've been there for, and someone from that dynasty, from that lineage, has been on before the distillery. It's, you know, it's farmlands. That estate has been in their hands for a long, long time. Their second pillar is their curiously small stills, as previously mentioned, so they get a lot more contact with the copper. Their third is the cut that they take from the new make, so between the heads and the tails, the heart, as it's sometimes called, is a lot narrower than a lot of other distilleries. They are very selective with what they pass to the new make. Their third is their exceptional casks, as previously discussed. They put a lot more effort into their wood than a lot of distilleries do. Their fourth is the natural colouring. They don't add any colouring to their whiskies. It all comes from the wood that the casks are made out of. And so I may have got myself a bit trapped. So the spiritual home is 1, small stills is 2, cut is 3, exceptional casks is 4, natural colourings is 5, and the final one is what they call their peerless spirit. So they put a lot of stock into their new make, and to be fair, you can't really blame them, because I mean, say what you will about Macallan, but as you have kind of given the game away, they are masters of marketing their brand. So as an example, one of the things we noticed when we went to the Macallan distillery, their slightly more expensive glasses, their tumblers, were teamed with Lalique. So if you know anything about Lalique glass, they're a famous French glass manufacturer, quite high end, very high end. So it shows if they're willing to partner with Macallan, and they've partnered with all sorts of high end brands like that.
Yeah.
But it's that the only reason they could do that is because they're known for the quality whiskey, such as, for example, the most expensive bottle of whiskey ever sold was a Macallan, a Valerio Adami 1926 60-year-old, which sold at auction in 2018 for £848,000.
Whiskey's like older than both world wars.
Yes.
Like Victorian.
£848,000.
Yeah.
For one bottle. And as previously alluded to by my co-host, you don't even have to be a whiskey expert or a whiskey fan to have heard of Macallan, because it is the drink of choice of James Bond. He likes a 60-year-old Macallan. Forget all this shaken, not stirred, vodka martini. In the Ian Fleming books, he drank whiskey. He had a martini occasionally, but he had whiskey. And in the later James Bond films with Daniel Craig, you'll notice that is what he prefers as well. He has plenty of Vespers, as he's called them, the vodka martinis, but in the Skyfall scene where he's doing the shooting competition with Silver, Macallan is the scotch that he balances on Severine's head before he shoots her. So there you go, Macallan. They're a pretty famous.
Yeah, they're
brand.
quite good at product placement as well in the modern days.
Yes, they're a very famous brand. Everyone's probably heard of them, but there's a lot of interest in. It's not just a thin veneer of marketing over nothing. There is a lot behind the Macallan brand.
Yeah.
And it is definitely worth a visit to this distillery just to see the damn thing, because it's pretty solid and unique, isn't it?
I mean, there's a museum in there that has sealed bottles from like 1800s, I'm pretty sure. But I mean, they literally say themselves, there's no spirit left in that, it's gone. But
yeah,
it's like,
I mean, even
not
just
that we've poured them out, the cork's still in there. It's just give a spirit that many years, it'll manage to find its way out.
but even if you're not a fan of whiskey and you're in the area and you like just unique buildings, you'll not see anything like the Macallan Distillery.
And I mean, hopefully they've got their cafe up to scratch now.
We'll have to go visit again one day. And
I think we've mentioned it numerous times, but I think what we both didn't realise was when we went to Macallan, it was literally just open.
Yes.
And I think that they were still sorting out their.
They got the main things in process, hadn't they? The tours were obviously. I would like to do a tour of Macallan if we went again.
Yeah. But so I think they're definitely on our list of would like to revisit. Probably like to go back to Aberlour, and I'd like to actually go and do Glenfiddich properly as well.
But Balvenie.
Well, Balvenie's on the list, but no one's been allowed in for 18 months, and the list used to be 18 months long. So.
Yes, but now that we're an influencer.
Yeah,
we can give them exposure.
So if you all can like and subscribe, and at Balvenie, that they need to let us in with our cameras for our first episode next week.
We'll pay them an exposure.
Next month. Yeah, we'll pay them an exposure.
So yes, that's the end of the Josh's journey.
It's a good journey to go on.
Thank
you.
Go
back on for once.
Indeed. One that we've actually been on.
Yeah.
Would you like to introduce us to the fifth whiskey?
I'm happy to do so. It's another strong one. We're going to Glen Ord 6-year-old 2010 cask 11. So this is cask strength, and they named the cat. They literally identified the cask it was from.
So I have a bottle of this, but I don't know what cask it is. So give me a second, and I will locate it and tell you.
I'll just make some pouring noises whilst you do so.
That's very good to fill in the dead air. I'm just sorting through my whiskey collection here. So I have got Glenard 2018. 2010. No, I said 2018. Probably because I'm drunk.
Yep.
And it is cask number 11, bottle 73 out of 140.
Oh, that's this one that we've got.
Is it?
Yeah. Cask 11.
Huh.
That's quite. That's interesting in and of itself.
Yeah, I've got an unopened bottle of it. So if you ever do get released from COVID and you come to visit, we can start/finish that.
And Nicola allows us to leave the country.
Well, it's not like I live in Manchester, so you're all right.
Yeah. I mean, our numbers are terrible just now. Anyway, don't worry about it. Yeah.
We're like the worst in the world again, aren't we?
UK, yeah.
Well, England.
Scotland's pretty bad as well.
In certain bits. I didn't think it was too bad over your way.
No, we're doing all right because they kept us in a lockdown for 3 weeks longer than everyone else.
But, so it's over Dundee way, isn't it? That's pretty bad.
Yeah, but also Edinburgh, like the whole East Coast, apart from Aberdeen. It's coming. Glasgow's bad anyway. It's always bad because there's just so many people.
It's Glasgow. Yeah. I'd not spread COVID when you're headbutting everyone all the time.
Yeah. But yes, the numbers are going up, but the thing is, apparently, hospitalisation isn't. But
that's the thing, isn't it? The vaccine doesn't stop it spreading; it stops it hospitalising people.
This smells very good, by the way.
It does. It's like toasted caramel, isn't it?
This is 61%, which makes it the strongest one in the bottle.
But it's got no alcohol burn on the nose at all.
No, unless you give it a deep inhale, it's fine. It's not. It's actually 61.6, nearly 62%.
So I would say that's like caramelized sugar on the nose.
Yeah, it's very sweet. Not really. It's got
rounded sweetness.
It's maybe got some dried fruit kind of sweetness to it,
Well, maybe salted caramel on the nose.
Yeah.
I don't think it's over sweet.
No. Yeah, I think it's got like salted caramel and maybe like prunes.
Prunes.
There's like a earthiness like what you get from from like dried fruits like that.
Who dived? I dived into the last one, did I first? So I will fill the dead air this time while you have the first taste. And hopefully you like it because I've got a bottle of it, so I'd be a bit miffed if you didn't. So you're warned.
It's interesting. Almost
well,
the way I drank that there. That's what it's for. It's meant to be an interesting. The way I drank that there.
To you.
It almost fizzed on my tongue.
Fizzed.
Yeah, the way it the flavor burst to the back. It was like.
No, I'll give you that. I just had a taste. It is very centralized, isn't it? Like straight down the center of the mouth. There's no. Don't really bother the cheeks at all. I
tried swallowing it a bit there, and it just did. When you swallow it, all just like centers.
Yeah.
It's very. It's hard to say what I'm trying to say here. It's got a very distinct sort of. It's maybe a little bit bready.
Yeah. Like bread crust.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, I can't remember what it's called when things change colour under cooking. There's a name for it. But it's like when the bread changes its colour and it goes slightly golden. Those bits. Like on a tiger bread, the more... I'm pretty sure tiger bread isn't got cheese on the top, does it? It's just
what it's made with, isn't it?
It's like cheese. Crackly on the top, and that makes it have like darker bits and lighter bits. But yeah, it's the darker bits is what I'm.
Yeah, so it's toasted bread crust. It's warming. It's a thicker liquid. It's oily. It handles itself.
Well, considering how strong that is, it's very, very easy to drink. You could get very drunk.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Because you wouldn't tell it was 62%.
No. I mean, I've had, chill filtered 40% whiskey that was rougher than that. It was actually it's the no age statement from what they called, the one that we walked to in Elgin.
Glenmoray.
Yeah, the no age statement basic from Glenmoray that's very clear.
Yeah,
doesn't hide its alcohol. But I mean, it's still got its charms, and it's like cheap, like 25 quid a bottle cheap. So you can't really argue with it. But yeah, this is basically more than 1.5 times as strong, and just goes down a charm.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
I added a bit of water and it's made the vapors actually stronger.
It's made it worse for you, has it?
Yeah. But it has sort of added a bit more of that vanilla-y flavour in there. We've noted what we said about these the last time, haven't we? To see if we agree.
We have.
What?
So for this one, we said it was very rich. Coffee, chocolate, Christmas cake, full mouth, very nice, umami. It's definitely rich. Coffee, yes. Chocolate, yes.
Don't know about the Christmas cake. I would say the umami, yes.
Yes, the umami definitely. Full mouth, very nice, yes.
I think we maybe had a previous Christmas cake on our palate if we were. It was also possible that the last time we had this, we had a different cask.
Yeah. Rich and filling. I'm gonna put. It's a chewy one, isn't it?
That's another chewy one. Which is, back to back.
Indeed. I mean, I'm not complaining.
No, and then it's just before we go back to where we've just come from.
Indeed. So, would you like to give this one a score?
happily give that. I think a 4.
I think a 4 is a fair assessment for that one. Right. Apologies for that, bit of a technical difficulties, but we are back in the room now and ready for our 6th and final whiskey. Are you ready?
Yes. Yeah, I'm ready.
So, as you may have predicted from the Josh's Journeys, we're off to Macallan. And this is the 12-year-old triple cask. And as my esteemed podcast partner mentioned at the start, out of the 6, this is the one that is not an exact revisit. That's because when we had this, or the equivalent of this, at Macallan in 2018, it was part of the Fine Oak series. Since then, they have revamped their marketing and their ranges, and now they offer it as the triple cask. From my understanding, it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
We shall find out.
And you've got to imagine that when you end the range, you have to make the one that comes in fill its boots, because if you've got someone who that's their go-to, they're going to get pretty raging if you don't give them something else in a similar price range.
Plus, it's a 12-year-old, so what are you going to do with all the 11, 10, 9-year-olds you've got? You're just going to abandon them.
Or do you make the plans 12 years in advance?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe Mr. Macallan is that.
I mean, they've been around a while, as everyone will have heard in our Whisky Talks. So.
If you were paying attention, yes, he's been around a long time. And because, God is ever merciful, this one's only 40%. So, might be able to cope with it.
This one has a bit of that same sort of mustiness that the Few had, I believe.
It does.
But
it's got quite a bit of orchardy fruits to this one, though, as well.
Yeah, I'd say it also does have some of that, like honey kind of smell.
Yeah, I'll give you that. So we'll say musty, honey, orchard fruits.
Sort of bourbony scent, isn't it?
Which you'd expect.
Yeah.
Is it my turn or your turn to dive in?
Doesn't matter. You can dive in. I'll fill the blank space. Because it might be better for you to do it, but I assume the triple cask is in 3 casks.
You'd have thought so.
Yeah. Don't know what you got the background.
I don't have right now, but if you give me a second. So I've just gone in for my first taste.
Yeah.
And I will look this up while you're going for your first taste. So the Macallan is a combination of European and American sherry seasoned oak casks and American ex-bourbon oak casks.
That's fair. That is very light.
It is very light.
But like moreish.
Yeah, like chewable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not in like
not the same way that you feel like you could eat the 2 previous.
No, it's not chewable in that it's thick. It's chewable in that it lasts.
Yeah.
Like at the end when you kind of go, like smacking your lips. It's like that for me.
It has a long, so it's like light. It's quite airy, but it's creamy as well. Like it tastes creamy rather than feels creamy, if that makes any sense.
Light but simultaneously creamy. That was a hell of a task, spelling simultaneously. Lip smacking chewiness at the end.
Definitely is lip smacking.
It is.
It's like mouth watering.
Yeah. It's actually really, really good.
Yeah. So part of why we wanted to go for a revisit to Macallan was because the ones, I believe when we were at Macallan, we didn't particularly score the Macallans too well.
No, I think we were put off because of the cafe.
Oh yeah, it wasn't. We were basically, the plastic fold-out tables you get for like car boots.
That's aimed
what
at
the tables.
the listeners, not at me, by the way.
Yeah, that's what the tables when we were there were at, because they weren't. They basically just opened, so I'm assuming that they hadn't even. They just got it. They were like, let's just get it open and we can serve stuff here.
I think it was almost a victim of its own success, because like the museum bit where they had all the historical Macallans was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, it's all encased in glass and it's all beautifully lit. Like, they've clearly put a lot of thought into it. All these different Macallans from around the years.
I think another.
And the opposite side was the glass wall where you could see all the stills through, and that was amazing.
And then they had the shop with all the fancy, like
yes,
collabs
and there was the central bit that was raised up where you went for the tasting and the tours. It was really nice. And then there was just the cafe was just. It felt like an afterthought.
It was like a hole in the wall school cafeteria.
Yeah, it felt like an afterthought, and for me, a big part of enjoying a distillery visit is how good the cafe is. Because a big part of whiskey is food.
Yeah, another thing that hurt them was that it was the same trip that we went to Glenfiddich, and their cafe is worth visiting, even if you don't like whiskey.
I mean, we didn't. So to kind of provide a bit of a context, we didn't do a tour of Glenfiddich or Macallan.
No.
So Aberlour, we did a tour of. They don't have a cafe. That's not what they do. They were just a distillery.
Yeah.
Fine. Glenfiddich and Macallan both do tours. Both have cafes. We didn't do a tour of either. Glenfiddich, we ended up sitting in some. I mean, it was a fairly new building, I think.
Like a hunting lodge.
But it was set up like a hunting lodge. Yeah, it had like the big stag's head on the wall. They had the bar with all the different Glenfiddichs on. It was very. They had a big fireplace. It was very. It was very whiskey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like lots of wood, lots of stone, very cozy. And the food was very good.
Yeah.
Macallan, it felt like they weren't sure what they were doing with the. Did we get food there? I can't remember.
Not particular. I think we had.
I don't think we did anything there.
I think we might have like a sandwich or like crisps.
Yes.
Not like.
But out of all the places we've been, because we got lunch at Glenmoray, and that was better.
Yeah.
We got lunch at Glenfiddich. That was probably the best.
Yes.
We had donuts at Clydeside.
We had lunch at Clydeside as well.
We did. We got lunch and donuts, and that was very good. Where else? Any other distilleries we've eaten at? Strophyla we didn't, but they do have a nice bar.
Yeah. I don't know if we've eaten any other ones.
So let's think of where we've been. Macallan, no. Aberlour, no.
Benramac, no.
No. Glenmoray, yes, we've mentioned.
Yes.
Glen Grant, no. Strophyla, no. No, I don't think we have.
What else we've been? Aberlour, no.
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 So out of all the ones we've been to for food, that offered food,
yeah,
Macallan was pretty substantially the bottom.
Yeah. But again, I would like to go back because, as we say, they just opened, and I think they were just sort of, we need to offer people somewhere to eat because they are a bit out of the way. And I don't think they've really thought it through.
And Macallan is definitely more of a destination than a lot of them.
Yeah. So yeah, because Glenfiddich is basically in Dufftown. You can go to the commercial hotel in Dufftown. That's what it's called.
Did we go to a place in Dufftown? Did I get Tablet?
Yeah, no, you got Rock, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Got like Edinburgh Rock, or Scottish Rock, and I think we got the we went into the whiskey shop and we got miniatures.
Yeah, because then we went up to
the waterfall behind Aberlour.
By Aberlour, got people looking at us.
Yeah, thinking we were drinking with fancy glasses, but still drinking in the streets.
Alkies with crystal glasses. Would you like to give this one a score so we can let the poor people go?
Yeah, I think I'm willing. I'd say that's a 4.
4.
Maybe a 3.5.
I'm gonna go 3.5. It's very nice.
I'm gonna stick with my 4 because I'm going to go and give it the easy drinking bonus.
It is very easy drinking, but yeah, 3.5 for me.
I mean, it is very affordable.
Just to be fair, I mean, the Fine Oak, I gave a 2.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, so you've upgraded quite a bit.
Yes. So I guess we should probably wrap it up there. We've kept you long enough. Apologies. This has been going on a long time. Hopefully you appreciate the fact that this is, it's a special, as my friend said there, and also the fact that this was 6 full-size whiskies. So
even larger than the Dram Team full sizes as well.
yes, so we've had quite a lot of whiskey, so it slows us down a bit. And we will see you, as in you will actually see us.
Yeah, next
time.
Yep.
Thank you all for listening.
Thanks.
And we will see you soon.
Cheerio.
Cheers.
Bye.